Half a day, everyone. In this video, we're going to be talking about percents. I'm sure you're familiar with the symbol, percent symbol. First of all, a percent is the ratio of a number to 100. Percent itself means per 100. And in our video about rates, ratios, and proportions, we talked about the word per, usually indicating that we're going to be dividing. So to give you an example, if I say 60%, this is a ratio in and of itself, the ratio of 60 over 100, or 60 to 100. The first thing I wanted to get into is how to change from a decimal to a percent. And to do that, you would move the decimal point 2 times to the right. If I had 0.56 and I want to convert it to a percentage, move that decimal point 2 times to the right, 56%. 2.84, 2 times to the right would be 284%. 0.9, it would still go 2 times to the right, even though there's nothing there. I would just fill in that 0, so it's going to be 90%. And it works too if you have more than enough decimal places. 1.732. Moving the decimal place 2 times to the right is 173.2%. It makes sense that if I wanted to change from a decimal to a percent, or the other way around, I would do the opposite, right? So instead of moving the decimal point 2 times to the right, I'm going to move it 2 times to the left. If I look at 37%, that's the same as, if there's no decimal point, we assume it's at the end. So there's going to be 0.37 in decimal form. 168%, moving the decimal 2 times, 1.68. 0.94%, it's a really small percent. It's going to be the same as 0.0094, moving the decimal point 2 times and filling in whatever zeros I have to. And if I wanted to convert a fraction to a percent, what I would do is change the fraction firstly to a decimal by dividing it, the numerator by the denominator, and then I would change that decimal to a percent, right, by moving the decimal place. So if I wanted to change 7 over 20 to a percent, I would first on the side, say 7 divided by 20. How many 20s are in 7? None. We got to add that decimal point. In 70, there's going to be 3. Remainder 10, add another 0 there. 100, there's 5. So 0.35 is the equivalent. Changing that to a percent, move this point 2 times to the right. 35%. If you have a mixed number, 2 1/4, changing this to a decimal, you'll just take that 2 and then divide 1 by 4 and then add that to the 2, and it's going to be 2.25. Again, moving the decimal point 2 times to the right, you get 225%. And if I wanted to change a percent to a fraction, I want to keep in mind, again, that meaning of percent, per 100. So I'm taking that number, say I had 73. I know that's going to be that number, 73, out of per 100%. From there, you just simplify if you can. 73 and 100 have nothing in common, so I'll leave it like that. If you have 64%, that's the same as 64 over 100. These two numbers are actually both divisible by the number 4, and this is 16 over 25. And if you were to see 0.1%, obviously I'll put 0.1 over 100, and it's important to note you cannot mix decimals and fractions. There should be no decimals within a fraction. So what I'm going to do is actually multiply both my numerator and denominator by 10 in order to make that 0.1 a 1. Okay, so we have 1 over 1,000, which is the equivalent to 0.1%. Next, we're going to be going into finding a fractional part of a number. In order to find the fractional part of a number, what we're going to do is multiply either that fraction, decimal, or percent with the number that they're trying to find that fractional part of. Okay, so if I say find 2/5 of 15, I'm going to do 2 over 5 times 15. So 15 times 2 over 5 is 30 over 5, which is 6. So 2/5 of 15 is 6. 0 points. If I wanted to find a decimal part of 24, I'm going to multiply that 0.6 times 24, which is equal to 14.4. Lastly, if I want to find a certain percentage of a number, 25% of 128, what I want to do is just multiply it. So we have 25% times 128. Of course, I want to convert that to a decimal so I can actually multiply it. So 25% is just 0.25 times 128, and when you add that, it's just going to be 32. 32 is 25% of 128. And this pretty much gives us the equation that we're going to be using in these percentage problems. We'll say P of B is A. P times B, when I see that of, I want to multiply. P times B is equal to A, where B is the base, A is the amount, it's like a partial amount, and then P is, of course, our percent. And the base always has, or it always follows the word of. Moving on a little bit now, we're going to see how to solve percent problems. We're using, again, this A is equal to P times B, or P times B is equal to A. And again, B, it always follows the word of. So if I said, what number is 25% of 64? Of 64. So I already know 64 is going to be my base because I have that of. 25 is obviously my percent. And this what I'm actually looking for is my A. So we have A is equal to 25%, or I'll use my decimal version by moving it 2 times to the left. 0.25 times 64. And this actually comes out to 16. 25% of 64 is 16. If you were to be asked 70% of what number, is 35. Notice that of what number, the thing that follows of is unknown. So my base is actually what we're looking for. 35 is the amount, and then 70 is going to be our percent. Setting it up, A is equal to P times B. I know that A is 35, P is 70, which is 0.7, and then B is unknown. I'll solve for B by dividing by 0.7, which gives us 50. So B is equal to 50. And I'll write here on the side, the last one that's pretty similar to these. 12 is what percent of 30? So of course what I'm going to do, or what's unknown, it's saying what percent. So my percent is unknown. And this is what I'm looking for. Once I see that of 30, I know 30 is my base. And 12 has to be our amount. A equals P times B. 12 is equal to percent times 30. To divide by 30 to solve for P, we'll get P is equal to 12 over 30, which simplifies to. When put in decimal form, this equates to 0.4 after dividing. And then from there, it says 12 is what percent of 4. I'll say, okay, I'm going to move that decimal point 2 times to the right to convert that decimal to a percent. So P is equal to 40%. There's also a certain proportion that can be used, our percentage proportion. This is actually what I was taught and what I have been using all these years. I don't use A is equal to P times B. I use this proportion, which is that part over a whole is equal to percent over 100. And we can use these to solve percent problems. Here's an example. On a test, Julio answered 17 problems correctly. This is 85% of the problems. Find the total number of problems. On the test. Okay, so first of all, I want to set up my proportion right here, part over a whole. So 17 is just part over how many total problems there are. So my 17 is going to be my part. Whole is unknown. That's what I'm trying to find. Percent, it says is 85. And of course, that's going to be over 100. Then you can solve this by cross multiplying. So 17 times 100 is going to be 1,700 is equal to 85x dividing by 85. Our x is equal to 20. Some people actually like to put b in there for the base, but x is equal to 20, and then we'll just use that to answer the question. So the total number of problems, there are 20 problems. Next, we'll go into applying percents to represent changes, like increases or decreases in numbers. I'm using that same proportion. Part over a whole is equal to percent over 100. But now my part is going to be the amount of increase or decrease. Over the original amount. And of course, we're going to say it's percent over 100. An amount increase or decrease, you're basically just taking the new number and subtracting the old amount, and then whatever you get is your percent, either increase or decrease. Increase if it's positive, decrease if it's negative. And it's important to note that sometimes you have to find the amount of increase or the amount of decrease yourself. We'll look at an example. The University of Guam enrollment increased from 4,000 to 4,240. What is the percent increase? So to also find this, I'll have to find what the increase was. It didn't increase by 4,240. It increased from 4,000 to 4,240. So to find the amount increase, it's going to be the new amount minus the old one. Which is 240 students. So that's how many increase we had. In order to find the percent increase, I'm going to put that number, 240, over the original amount, which is 4,000, equals that percent over 100. And typically, since it's unknown, we want to put a variable. You can put p if you want. You can put x. Doesn't really matter. I'll put p since I put x for the last time. From here, we'll cross multiply. 240 times 100 is going to be 24,000. We have 4,000 p. Dividing both by 4,000 in order to solve for p. P is equal to 6. So the enrollment increased by 6%. One last application we'll go over is about pricing. So a textbook that is originally $105 is on sale at 20% off. So now instead of a percent increase, we're looking at a percent decrease. And we want to see two questions here. What is the amount of discount? And the second is, what is the sale price? There are different ways to do this, so if you find it a different way, that's okay. Maybe you wanted to do 80% of 105 to be able to find the sale price. Maybe you wanted to subtract 20%. Either way will work. But first of all, we want to look at what is the amount of decrease. So basically, this is telling me what I'm trying to find is what even is 20% of 105. So these word problems, a lot of times I'm going to be able to break it down into what we've covered before, that what is 20% of 105. So you can either use the ratio or you can use the equation that we had earlier. I'm pretty particular to the ratios, so are the proportions, so I want to use it. Percent over 100. So it's 20% over 100 is equal to, we don't know what the amount is, A over our base, which is 105. Cross multiplying, we have 100A is equal to 20 times 105, which is 2100. Dividing by 100, we have A is equal to 21. The amount of discount is $21. What is the sale price? So now I want to find out what my new price is, right? So since I already found the discount, I'm going to just subtract that from the original price. 105 minus this comes out to 105 minus 21, which is 84. So our sale price is $84. And that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to do some practice on your own. This is something that a lot of people have issues with, but it's very simple. It always comes down to the same thing, that proportion. So good luck. Thank you and have a great day.